I'd like to bring the meeting to order of the Wilmington City Council. I'd like to welcome all those who are with us this evening and all those who are watching us at home. Thank you for taking an interest in your government. At this time, I'd like to call on Sergeant Ronald Evans of the Wilmington Police Department to come forward and please give our invocation. If everyone will stand, remain standing afterwards for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, first and foremost, we thank you for your many blessings, your grace, and your mercy that you bestow upon us day in and day out. We thank you for everything that you have done in our lives, everything that you're doing, and everything that you are going to do. We ask that for your protection from the seen and the unseen in our daily lives. I thank you for this council. I pray that you will continue to touch their minds and their hearts and continue to give them wisdom as they make the decisions that will be for the benefit for every citizen of this city. We pray this prayer in your Son's precious name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item of business is our consent agenda, items 1 through 4. Are there any items that any council member would like to hear separately? If not, what are the wishes of council in respect to the consent agenda? We have a motion.
So moved.
Motion to approve by
waiting on the thing to
Councilmember
come up.
Joyner.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Andrews. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? That item passes unanimously. That brings us to our next item of business, which is our public information segment. We have one speaker that has signed up to speak with us this evening, Mr. Joel Barrio, who is here in the city of Wilmington, who's speaking about Avelo Airlines' $150 million contract with ICE. Mr. Barrio here. Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to our next item of business, which are ordinances. Item 01A is an ordinance appropriating $3,701,766 for the Greenville Loop Trail Section 3 project. And then 01B is the resolution awarding a construction contract in the amount of $3,724,359 to the Morgan Trucking and General Construction Incorporated for the Greenville Loop Trail Section 3 Transportation Bond Project and the Greenville Loop Sidewalk Project. At this time, I'd like to recognize City Manager Ms. Hawk. Ms. Hawk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. These items will be presented by Division Project Manager Mike Niklicki.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. Before you tonight is an ordinance and companion resolution to award the construction of Greenville Loop Trail Section 3. Before I get into some of the details of the bid and the funding, I know we have a few new council members. Just like to give just a little bit of background on this project. So this was part of the citizen voted transportation bond, and it adds 4.3 miles of trail network or trail to the existing network. Several years back, we did an alternative analysis that confirmed the alignment that we wanted to use. With our consultant, we were looking at utility conflicts, drainage, tree impacts, pedestrian conflict points, and also property impacts. Once that was finalized, City Council supported us splitting that into several sections of the 4.3 miles. We were able to split that into 4 sections. That allowed us to expedite the sections that had maybe a less complicated design, did not have as much property acquisition, or less utility relocations. So on the map here that you see, the red section has been completed. That runs along Holly Tree and connects to the Central College Trail, which was a transportation bond project as well that was completed a few years back. The yellow section is Section 2, adds a multi-use trail plus a signal at the Bradley Creek Elementary School for safe crossing. That project is currently under construction and projected to be completed this summer. Section 3 is the blue section, which is subject of our discussion tonight, and that runs from Bradley Creek School across Oleander and connects to the River to Sea Bikeway on Park Avenue. There's a small section that you see there in purple or magenta. It's called the Greenville Loop Sidewalk, and I'll give you a little bit more information on the next slide. So this is a section of sidewalk. Once we finish the alternative analysis for the routes, confirming the routes, the multi-use path was slated to be designed and constructed on the west side at this location of Greenville Loop Road. Some of the residents of Shinwood, Turtle Hall, Tolles Road had some concerns since the multi-use path was not going to be on that side of the road, the connectivity to the school. They understood the reasons why it had to be on the other side. So we discussed this. We were able to come up with a sidewalk design in-house to save money. City Council approved a capital project to fill in sidewalks between Shinwood and Old Military Road, which would then provide that connectivity for the children to get to the crossing signal that we're putting in now to Bradley Creek School Elementary, the elementary school. So the question is, why Greenville Loop Trail? We talked about that as a signature project of the transportation bond, that it adds 4.3 miles to the existing network. We'll talk about the network on the next slide. That is a critical component. It connects schools, neighborhoods, parks, shopping centers, and also all of the other trails and sidewalks that we've built around the city over the years. And we send out surveys to the citizens, and it's continuously identified as part of the city's long-term growth plan. The regional planning that goes into this, the WMPO is putting out plans that includes Walk Wilmington, the comprehensive Greenway plan that includes New Hanover County. This network of trails along Greenville Loop Road was part of those adopted plans. We talked about the fact that it connects the Central College Trail to the River to Sea Bikeway. And the other important component is the regional link. I do want to add too, I forgot to mention, that this is also consistent with the recently adopted Vision Zero strategy to provide safer streets and eliminate the traffic deaths and severe injuries in the future. So as far as the regional connectivity, you can see on this map, Greenville Loop Trail runs along the bottom of the map. On the southwest side of the city, it connects to the Central College Trail, the Cross City Trail that's kind of off the map that we already talked about. But importantly, on the northeast corner, it crosses over Oleander, which, by the way, this section is also building a pedestrian crossing. We're working with DOT at Oleander Drive to safely get them across that road to the River to Sea Bikeway on Park Avenue, which will be connected through Hinton Avenue, Hooker Road, multi-use path, which we had a pre-construction meeting this morning and are starting construction on those next month, hopefully early February. That ultimately ties into the existing networks of the Cross City Trail behind UNCW, through Autumn Hall, out Eastwood Road to Wrightsville Beach. You can kind of go on and just see the point here is that this is a critical component of this network. So some of the details of the bid and what we're asking for tonight. We have a low bid price of $3,724,359. That is a little bit higher than the engineer's estimate, but also lower than the two other bids we received. So we feel very confident in recommending moving forward with that. The contractor is Morgan Trucking and General Construction. They are a local contractor. They completed several transportation bond projects already, including sidewalks along Oleander, pedestrian crossings at Market Street. We put a hawk signal in there, and also at Holly Tree and College Avenue, or College Road. And then they completed Section 1 of this very trail here, Greenville Loop Section 1. So we've had some good projects there. They are a MBE, DBE contractor and meeting the 14% participation goal. The funding needed for this ordinance is for the award and some construction contingency in case we have any trouble during construction or any unknowns. The majority of it is coming from a little bit over $2 million from the transportation bond. $650,000 is coming from that separate CIP project I mentioned before for the Greenville Loop sidewalk, since we're constructing that as part of this project. And a little over $900,000 from the transportation motor vehicle tax. which is appropriate for transportation projects that are built in the city limits on city right-of-way. I understand those are the requirements for the use of those funds. At this point, if it's approved tonight, we'll be able to execute the contract and move forward with construction, expecting to have that complete late fall. I know our project manager, Anthony Gathers, and senior project manager, Wim Combs, have been working hard on this and are very eager to get construction started. So with your approval, we recommend passage of both these items and be happy to answer any questions.
So, Mrs. Spears?
Slightly off-task question, but how much money is left in the transportation motor vehicle tax? Do you know?
That I can't answer. I'm more familiar with the transportation bond. There may be someone here. Oh, Mr. Moten?
I think sometime last year was about 1.5 million, right?
Yes, sir. In fiscal year FY '25, approximately $1.85 billion was received. Very little of it was expended. We made a course correction change. We anticipate another $1.85 million this year, of which you've agreed by council to allocate about $500,000 for Vision Zero and also for staffing 2 positions. So we have a healthy balance right now. And this is a guesstimate. If the finance people here, I would say, but right now we've allocated or encumbered about $800,000 of what we project to be at the end of this year of about 3.6, so approximately 2.3, $2.4 million left, unencumbered.
Thank you.
Mr. Joyner?
Thank you. Would you give us maybe a little bit more history on the entire Greenville Loop project as far as the choice to break it up into sections, and also, I guess this is a separate question, but we're done with acquisition of right-of-way and any eminent domain things, right?
Correct. Yeah, all the acquisition is complete. The thought behind breaking it up is when we did I'd call it the alternative analysis or feasibility study with some of looking at some of the potential conflicts there, there were definitely sections that looked like we could complete faster because there's less design, there's less property acquisition, less utility relocation. So we wanted to make sure we got those sections moving as quick as possible, while some of the others we knew would take a little bit longer. So that, like I said, that section on Holly Tree Road was easier to get moving early in the process. So that's when we split up the funding across those projects. Sure.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we'll take one at a time. We'll take the item 01A, which I've already read into the record, which is the ordinance appropriating the money of $3,701,766. What is the wishes of council in respect to the item? We have a motion approved by Councilmember Joyner, second by Councilmember Andrews. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously on first reading. Is there a motion to waive second reading? Motion made by Councilmember Santaguida, second by Councilmember Joyner. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item passes unanimously on first as well second reading. Now we'll go to item 01B, which is the resolution awarding a construction contract in the amount of $3,724,359 to Morgan Trucking and General Construction Incorporated. What are the wishes of council? We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Lau, second by Mayor Pro Tem Spears. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously. Congratulations, Mike and team. Way to go. Been a long time coming. That brings us to our next item, which is item 02A, which is an ordinance appropriating $3,701,766 for the Greenville Loop Trail Section 3 project. Then we have item 02B, which is a resolution awarding a construction contract in the amount of $3,724,359 to Morgan Trucking and General Construction Incorporated for the Greenville Loop Trail Section 3 Transportation Bond. And then item 02C, which is a resolution approving a $118,700 interlocal agreement between the city and Cape Fear Public Utility Authority for relocation of water and sewer line facilities affected by the Wisteria Clearbrook Drainage Improvement Project Stage Number 2. Again, I'd like to recognize our city manager, Ms. Becky Hawk. Ms. Hawk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. This item will be presented by our Assistant Public Works Director, Aaron Beckner.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Council. These three companion items together are authorizing construction of Stage 2 of the Wisteria Clearbrook Drainage Improvement Project. Stage 2 of the project extends from Dogwood Lane to Camellia Lane, and it will reduce flooding, improve long-term drainage maintenance, and also enhance water quality flowing into Hewlett's Creek. Item O2A appropriates up to $118,700 to be reimbursed from CFPUA into the Stormwater Capital Projects Fund for utility relocations related to this project. Item O2B awards a construction contract to the Wells Brothers Construction in the amount of $3,994,752. Funds are available in the Stormwater Capital Projects Fund for that. And item O2C authorizes the interlocal agreement with CFPUA to reimburse the city for the water and sewer relocations. Staff recommends approval of all three items. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for staff? This was part of our overall bigger project. I know that it's been done in phases over time, especially at Clearbrook. So does this complete all of it in that particular area?
In that area, yes, sir.
And this will finalize it?
Yes, sir.
I know that a couple of years ago, we did a rezoning over there. People were having some concerns about some of the water and ditches and stuff of that nature. So this pretty much is the piece that really takes care of it.
For that neighborhood, yes,
Okay,
sir.
very good. Okay, thank you. All right, we'll take off with the ordinance first, which is appropriating the $3,701,766, the Greenville Loop Trail Section 3 project. What are the wishes of council in respect to that ordinance? We have a-
Mr. Mayor, I don't think that was the correct one.
That's
You're-
correct. I'm sorry. So I have something that's very similar to the same one that we just did, O2A and O2B. Is this the same one? Or is this O2C, which is just a resolution? Because I'm not,
O2A is the ordinance for $118,700 for Cape Fear Public Utility Authority to the Stormwater Capital Projects Fund for the Wisteria Clearbrook Drainage Improvements Project Stage 2.
that's it.
Yes, sir, that's O2A.
Okay, very good. O2A? Okay, we have a motion to approve by Councilmember Andrews, second by Councilmember Santaguida. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously. That brings us to our resolutions.
Oh, that was first reading on O2A, Mr. Mayor, so you need another reading on that.
I'm sorry, I have the wrong piece of paper here, whoever's giving me this. All right, let's go to O2B, which is a resolution awarding a construction contract to Wells Brother Construction Incorporated of Turkey, North Carolina, in the amount of $3,994,752 for the Wisteria Clearbrook Drainage Improvement Project, Stage Number 2. We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Clinton Quintana and second by Councilmember Santaguida. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. There we go. Any opposed? Item passes unanimously. And then, is that it? We
Now we're
have
on to
one more,
O2B.
O2C. O2C is a
Yes,
resolution
O2C.
approving a $118,700 interlocal agreement between the city and Cape Fear Public Utility Authority for relocation of water and sewer line facility affected by the Wisteria/Clearbrook Drainage Improvement Project Stage Number 2. We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Quintana, second by Councilmember Andrews. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously. That brings us to our next item of business, which is our resolutions. Let's see. Resolution authorizing and adopting the City of Wilmington's 2026 state and federal legislative agenda. This time I'd like to recognize our city manager, Ms. Hawk. Ms. Hawk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. This item will be presented by Kara Spencer, our Director of Legislative and Intergovernmental Affairs.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Council. I appreciate the opportunity to come before you to provide an update on what happened in our 2025 session at the General Assembly, to look ahead at what we might expect to see during the upcoming short session, and then speak about our legislative agenda to reflect your priorities for our city, and hopefully to get approval of that legislative agenda so we can get to work. Before I begin, I'd like to thank each of you for the work you do as ambassadors of our city across every level of government. It really makes a difference in achieving our goals, so thank you. And before discussing our legislative goals, let's take a moment to review Wilmington's representation currently at the General Assembly. Last year, Senator Michael Lee was appointed to be Majority Leader of the North Carolina Senate. We certainly appreciate his sponsorship of the 2025 Water Safety Act and his original sponsorship of legislation, which is now law, that better allows Wilmington to have flexibility in property sales, which ultimately benefits all of our taxpayers. Senator Bill Rabon co-sponsored that same legislation, and he holds the key chair of Senate Rules, meaning that he decides which bills move forward for debate and for votes. And in the House, we appreciate Representative Deb Butler's dedication for her help with us on our environmental issues and all of our public health issues. Representative Ted Davis, who will not seek re-election at the end of this current term, he has been an incredible partner to us over these 8 terms on opioid reduction, recovery, response, and PFAS remediation. And of course, Representative Charlie Miller has taken incredible care to support our Wilmington Police Department and all of our many grant applications. So we definitely appreciate all of these representatives, and I think Wilmington, and I know you know Wilmington, is an incredible model for working with a delegation well, and we plan to continue that. Now, for our legislative update, let's just look back at what happened in 2025 to get a sense of where we are and where we might go. Some of the key things that happened over the last session. Those of you who were on this board will remember the fight that we had against some harmful legislation, HB 765, which would have created sweeping state mandates and eliminated local decision-making and ultimately your power to decide on zoning and land use planning for this city and your constituents. Alongside our partners, we engaged legislators, conveyed its detrimental consequences, and ultimately, I'm pleased to say, it failed to pass, allowing us to continue to form our own unique vision of what Wilmington should be. Helene recovery, legislators took up various relief packages. North Carolina is currently the only state in the country without a comprehensive budget in place. That is due to a stalemate over mostly tax issues, and until a budget is passed, cities and towns like ours are unlikely to see as many infrastructure dollars flow our way. I've spoken with some of you about our concerns about the downzoning provision that was in a bill at the end of 2024, and that definitely is still at the top of our concerns. It has resulted in confusion and some unintended consequences. We tried to pass a corrective bill. It did pass the Senate unanimously, but got no attention in the House. And I just want to assure you that we're going to continue to work with the NC League and our other partners to try to get a new version of that through so that that can be corrected. HB 171, which is a prohibition on DEI, which ultimately passed both chambers. That bill would put city employees in the tough spot of being personally liable for any violation of a new rule that prohibits the use of public funds to support DEI programs. And while Governor Stein vetoed that bill in July, it is still possible that an override vote could occur within the 2026 session. And as much as I'd like to have a crystal ball, ultimately those things really come down to vote counts, which seats are filled in any particular day, and of course the March 3rd primary elections will influence that. And in a big win for our city, Senators Lee and Rabon championed a local bill to amend Wilmington's charter for the first time in 10 years. Pretty incredible. That gave all of us flexibility and property disposition. We're now in this incredible building, and in order to give the funds that we could earn from the other buildings back to the taxpayers, this lets us get it done quickly and efficiently in a way we could not previously, which is fantastic. So we're very grateful to them for that. So that's looking back. What I want to do is look forward at some of the things that are projected and expected in the General Assembly. First of all, I will say that no major action is expected until after the March 3rd primary election, so we're really looking at votes happening in earnest in April. As noted previously, at the top of the list will be a new budget, including Medicaid funding that has to be addressed. Property tax reform has been explored through many recent committee meetings in the House. It remains to be seen if the Senate will take up that issue, but it could be a contentious one between local governments and state governments. As you know, a lot of our general fund is funded by property taxes, and any significant reduction will leave cities with limited options to fund critical services like police, fire, and emergency management. The governor vetoed 14 bills in 2025. The legislature overturned 8. Other vetoes could face override attempts, but on any given day, it's hard to say if there is that 3/5 majority. Helene funding will always be something that's front of mind for years to come, and we're going to see that in 2026. And mental health and public safety. As you know, the terrible news out of Raleigh and Charlotte in the recent months, the murders that have happened has folks concerned about the inadequacies that may exist within North Carolina's criminal justice and public health systems. So you're going to probably see some discussion about both of those topics. And additionally, as we saw in 2025, the administration in Washington may also set a tone for the different things that we see reflected at the state level. Now, what we've all been waiting for, the state legislative agenda. Because we have the privilege of having 3 new council members here tonight that were not here previously for the legislative agenda passage, I just want to remind you about some of the things that are in the nature of this particular resolution. First of all, Wilmington's agenda outlines the general positions of this council on a wide range of issues, and it serves as a reference for legislators and the public to show your stance on a particular position. Many are long-term goals and roll over year after year, and each item, and this is important, each item is stated broadly, and that allows us to have flexibility and respond to political developments and the community's ever-changing needs. So here are the items that are to be voted on and hopefully approved for our 2026 legislative agenda as informed by each of you. First and foremost, and I apologize for the small text, but oppose legislation that undermines local government authority and revenue generation. We all know that local governments are best equipped and suited to administer programs for the benefit of their citizens. Support increased transportation and infrastructure funding reflective of the Wilmington region's growth, and we encourage the General Assembly to explore new funding mechanisms to accelerate transportation projects. Support housing program funding and policies aimed at funding, supply, capacity, and access. Support programs for more expedient disaster recovery with a focus on resiliency and our ability to build back better. Support state policy and resources, including mental health services aimed at reducing homelessness. And protect the Cape Fear River as a source of raw water by preventing its removal without appropriate return. This body opposes the recent request by Fuquay-Varina to permanently take 6.17 million gallons a day from the Cape Fear River. We want to support a strong and ongoing response to PFAS. We want to support economic development and policies to support jobs, businesses, and strengthen the workforce and attract investment. Support commitment of necessary funds for the Cape Fear Memorial Bridge that do not include tolls and that has limited and minimized impact on our historic downtown Wilmington communities. That includes businesses and churches. Continue to support programs that assist in the recruitment, retention, and wellness of police and fire, and support the expansion of film incentive programs. That means raising caps that can help us have a stronger year than what we had with film in 2025. I'm going to leave off the state agenda. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our federal plans. Our federal representatives, as you know, are Representative David Rouser, Senator Tom Tillis, and Senator Ted Budd. Of course, Senator Tom Tillis will not be seeking re-election, and I will note a special welcome to the Constituent Services Office of Senator Budd, who recently moved into this very building. So welcome to Eric and Lindsay. All right, our federal legislative agenda. Support additional funding for infrastructure and transportation. Support affordable housing. That includes community development block grants. Support the continued federal role in disaster recovery. FEMA provides crucial assistance that the state simply cannot step up and deliver. We need it before, during, and after. We cannot replace that as a state on our own. Support federal regulation of chemicals. As you know and have seen in the news, the EPA is seeking to roll back limits on PFAS in our drinking water, as well as reporting requirements for manufacturers. Support continued role in beach renourishment for our neighbors in New Hanover County and our beach towns. Support resource allocation to local governments for substance abuse. I am going to conclude by saying each of you worked diligently to build relationships for this city and for the people of Wilmington so that we can get it done, so that we can bring dollars here, so that we can make our dreams happen collectively, and I appreciate that. We do it in partnership with groups like the NC League, the National League of Cities, the Metro Mayors Coalition, of which our very own Mayor Sappho is the leader. And we also work with external lobbying crews like the team at EQV who are actually here tonight. And Tony McEwen, our consultant who was with us earlier today to advance Wilmington's interests. Together, we will fortify the city's relationships with our policymakers, and I recommend passage of these, the state and federal legislative agendas, to guide our advocacy efforts and send a unified message to Raleigh and Washington. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Kara? Kara, just one. I know that the FEMA issue has been it's been at the forefront as of late as to what they're going to do up in Washington about whether they're going to dissolve this. What does it look like if they do dissolve it? Does the responsibility come back to the state and to the local municipalities to take more of this on than we have in the past? Is the federal government even going to be there for us? Do we know where it is right now? What they're talking about, because this is a pretty significant issue for us, because we set aside a significant amount of money per year to make certain that we have the money necessary to get back on our feet in the aftermath of a storm. But we also get reimbursed from the state and the federal government for those expenditures. If those expenditures do not come back to the city in some way, shape, or form, we have to then reapply funding every time we get into some kind of a critical emergency, which is not unusual for an area like this, where we've been hit with 2 storms in 1 year. Where does that fall right now? Do we know?
I will say that the administration did agree not to make any changes to FEMA until after the hurricane season ended, and now those discussions are picking back up. You yourself will be in DC next week with a delegation of mayors from the state to discuss this very topic and to be a voice for Wilmington on the importance of FEMA. I've heard you say before that FEMA is important. The changes that, of course, we want as a city involve quicker reimbursements and a longer window where we can request reimbursements, because we need support not just in the days and weeks, but in the months and years after. So we're going to be able to voice that to our federal representatives in DC next week, and we're going to be tracking as the administration continues to make shifts.
And is this I know this just doesn't involve the state of North Carolina, it involves every state in the union, correct?
Absolutely.
So the people that are dealing with fires in the west, hurricanes down in Florida, you name it, floods in the Midwest, or even here?
Yes, sir.
So everybody's on board with this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Mr. Joyner?
Thank you. Kara, I just want to thank you for all the work that you put into this. I know we've had conversations offline. I know you've had conversations with everybody offline about what should or should not go into these. And so kudos on finding some consensus amongst 7 folks. And also, if we're looking at the screen, I just wanted to acknowledge the work that you do all year long with folks who have very different opinions and lenses through which they see what's best for our community, state, and country. So thank you for the diplomacy that you do on our behalf. And I look forward to supporting this resolution.
Okay. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, what are the wishes of council in respect to the resolution? We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Andrews, second by Councilmember Santaguida. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously. That brings us to item R2, which is a resolution amending Wilmington's City Council's Code of Ethics. At this time, I'd like to recognize our city attorney, Meredith Everhart. Ms. Everhart?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. We don't have a formal presentation for you on this item. The Council Code of Ethics is something that's required by the state for every council to have. We've had one for quite some time, according to state law. It was last amended in 2018. Since that time, Chapter 160D specifically, 160A was changed to 160D, and several of the provisions they had throughout 160A, which is the Land Use and Land Development Code, were combined together into a new section called 160D-109, which is included in your packet and in the proposed new Code of Ethics. That's the primary change, is just to change your Code of Ethics to include the current state law references and items of both the city charter and state law. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to answer those now.
Are there any questions for our city attorney? If not, what are the wishes of council in respect to the item? We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Andrews, second by Councilmember Lau. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Item passes unanimously. That brings us to item R3, which is a resolution requesting further review of the Wilmington Harbor 403 project. I would like to note that I got a call late this evening from Secretary Wilson of DEQ that is indicated, and I think, Kara, you spoke with him because I didn't have a chance to, but Secretary of DEQ and the Army Corps of Engineers have agreed to pause any further action on dredging until more discussions over the next few weeks. Is that correct? And then they're recommending that we just withdraw this for the time being until, could you come to the front, please? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. Secretary Reed Wilson from DEQ called you right as the meeting was beginning, and because you were incapacitated with your duties, I took that call, and he expressed to me that he was contacted by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, who asked that the decision that they were supposed to issue today be delayed because they had important additional information and considerations, and I believe there will be I don't want to overspeak, but he implied that there would be some negotiations in our favor, and we don't want to act on this yet.
Okay.
Very good.
All right, anybody else? Okay. Gillette?
Yeah, I just, so what about this resolution? Should we not resolve?
It just may be moot is all. There wouldn't necessarily be legislative harm in passing it, but I think there's going to be some concessions that you may be interested in that could inform it if you passed it in 2 weeks. You could certainly pass it now if that's your preference.
Councilmember Andrews, we could move, instead of just removing it completely, we could just continue it to a date certain in 2 weeks and give that a chance to happen between now and then and see if it's still necessary.
I think if just putting it on an agenda moves the needle and promises action, maybe actually passing it would be a good thing.
I'm told that Secretary Wilson sent an important press release to Mayor Safo's cell phone,
You
if
did?
that helps.
Just now?
Yes.
Okay. I haven't seen anything, but. I haven't seen anything.
Breaking news.
What does it say? Do you have it in front of you?
I have it, and I just got it when you got it. There is not an embargo on this. Would you mind if I have the chance to forward this to our council, and we can reapproach this later in this meeting? so that they can consider this information.
Meredith?
However you'd like to proceed, we can move on with the agenda, we can continue it, we can do whatever you'd like, whatever the wishes of council.
I have a motion to reorder the agenda to include this item last.
Okay, very good. All right. That brings us to our next item. Okay, we'll
Second.
second it. We have a motion made by Councilmember Joyner, second by Mayor Pro Tem Spears. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Item passes unanimously. We'll move on now to reports. RP1 is report of council's appointments committees for boards, commissions, and committees. At this time, I recognize Councilmember Andrews, who's the chairperson of that appointments committee. Ms. Andrews?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and my fellow members of council, the appointments to boards, commissions, and committees committee met on January 5th with myself and Mayor Bill Saffo and Councilmember Joyner present. And we voted to recommend appointment of Christy Ford to the Commission on African American History. We voted to appoint Donna Everett to the Convention Center Advisory Committee. We voted to appoint Cherie Darian as a regular member at large to the Loan Review Board, and appoint William Piott as alternate 2. We recommend the reappointment of Terry Smith to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, the reappointment of Kit Starnes as the New Hanover County Schools representative to the Sister Cities Commission. We recommended appointment of Mayor Pro Tem Kevin Spears and the appointment of Councilmember Cassidy Santaguida as representatives to the Wilmington Urban Area Metropolitan Planning Organization. And in addition, the appointment of Councilmember J.C. Lyle as the alternate to the WMPO. We recommended removing former Councilmember Charlie Rivenbark from the Lower Cape Fear Water and Sewer Authority and appointing Councilmember Chikima Clinton Quintana to the Lower Cape Fear Water and Sewer Authority as the City of Wilmington representative. And to the Zoning Board of Adjustment, we voted to remove Zachary Nichols at the request of staff due to lack of attendance, and to appoint Alan Norman as a regular member, appoint Bill Day as alternate 1, appoint Greg Thompson as alternate 2, appoint Jim Downey as alternate 3, and appoint Hunt Harris as alternate 4.
So we have those are the recommendations. Do we have a motion to approve those recommendations? We have a motion to approve by Mayor Pro Tem Spears, seconded by Councilmember Lyle. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously. That brings us to our next item, which is
Mr. Mayor?
item. Yes?
Oh,
Yep, sorry.
I think I had also the openings to read. I wanted to do that as well. May I do that? Okay. So we have current vacancies on, I think that was the one we did last week. Oh, potential vacancies as of January 21st. Okay. We are looking for a member of the Greater Downtown Special Area Plan Steering Committee, and that would be an appointee from the Commission on African American History, a member from the Encino Sports Park User Advisory Committee. We need someone who is involved with the sport of rugby. And for the City of Wilmington Housing Affordability Advisory Committee that we approved last meeting, we need a member from the Cape Fear Realtors Association, a developer of affordable housing units in the region, a member of the Wilmington Cape Fear Home Builders Association, a member from the Cape Fear Housing Coalition, a member from the Wilmington Chamber of Commerce, a member from the Wilmington Housing Authority, a member of a nonprofit organization that provides housing services to the housing insecure, and 3 members representing residents of designated affordable housing units, and a commercial lender specializing in affordable housing. We have our the Alien Association of Wilmington, potentially, if Councilmember Joyner does not wish for reappointment, and I'm sure he does, and we'll probably reappoint him.
You'll put me on the spot. I'll stay on that committee unless anybody else is chomping at the bit.
So then we have Convention Center Advisory Committee. This has been a long-standing opening for an on-site hotel, so we really need a hotelier from downtown Wilmington to step up and advertise somebody or promote somebody for that opening. And then for the Wilmington, New Hanover County Port, Waterway, and Beach Commission, we have 2 at-large positions that are available, that are opening. One is available for reappointment, one is not. So anybody that is interested in any of those boards and commissions, please go to our city website, complete an application, and we welcome your involvement.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us to our next item, which is item RP2, which is resolution establishing the City of Wilmington's Community Relations Advisory Committee and Bylaws. I'd like to recognize Councilmember Celeste Andrews, who's the chairperson of the council's appointments on that.
So we had, again, at the same meeting, we had a discussion of the CRAC bylaws, and we pretty much decided to reform the Community Relations Advisory Committee that was a joint city and county committee with very, very similar bylaws, but we, with the distinction that we decided to make all of the positions at-large positions so that we weren't pigeonholing them into different organizations. So we're really looking for people who have experience or have interest in working in the civil rights community, the faith community, the business community, the nonprofit community, or members of any of the Title VII groups, for example, racial or ethnic minorities, elderly, disabled, members of the LGBTQ community. Basically, we want people who are advocates for our community. We are more interested in your interest in promoting a fair and equitable society and not necessarily in your resume per se. So that is the difference that, that the committee decided to put forward for your consideration today.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. What are the wishes of council in respect to the resolution? We have a motion approved by Councilmember Lau, second by Councilmember Quintana. Any other discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. So we'll go back to the item which we were talking about with Carol. Carol, do you have any further information about that, or item R3?
Yes, sir. I will read into the record the communication as it's written from DEQ. State announces pause to the Wilmington Harbor Federal Consistency Review. The North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality, Division of Coastal Management, announced today that the Army Corps of Engineers, in coordination with non-federal project sponsor, State Ports Authority, has asked to pause the review of the Corps consistency determination for the proposed Wilmington Harbor Federal Channel Deepening Project. The Division of Coastal Management has granted the pause in its review. The decision to pause allows time for the Corps to review and consider the issues raised and the public before we complete a review. A timeline has not been established for when the pause may be lifted. According to the Corps' draft environmental impact statement, the project would deepen and widen portions of the Wilmington Harbor Navigation Channel in Brunswick and New Hanover counties to improve efficiency and accommodate larger vessels. I'm going to skip to some non-factual information about the project. Once the review process resumes, DCM will decide whether to concur or object to the Corps' determination for the proposed project. If DCM objects, it can offer alternatives or conditions that, if agreed to, would allow the project to proceed.
That's it. What, I guess the resolution that we're talking about passing is the concerns that we're sharing with DEQ in respect to this item. If we went ahead and passed it, what harm would there be in, of course, and I know you're talking about some of the negotiations that could possibly be beneficial to us. So that's a question.
My personal suspicion is that the reason for this pause is that the Army Corps realized that the decision was not to their favor, and they are coming to the table to negotiate based on our stated concerns. I will say that there is not a benefit to considering this resolution now versus 2 weeks from now, because we do know no actions will be taken, and the City of Wilmington has submitted our comments in December. So they certainly have that feedback to consider during this interim pause, but it will not be detrimental if you choose to pass this resolution, other than the fact that Secretary Wilson was kind enough to reach out personally to let us know that we are being heard on this.
We have Councilmember Santaguido.
Thank you, Kara, for bringing this to our attention so quickly. Very exciting evening. I think you may have just answered my question, but I want to make sure that I'm very clear about this. It looks like the review has paused so that DCM can review comment from the public. If we do not pass this resolution, is the feedback that the city already provided, is that consistent with this resolution? I just want to make sure that the thoughts of council regarding this issue are heard by DCM and the Corps.
I believe that the exact language of our concerns is reflected within this resolution.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Lau?
Yeah, I would like everything that comes out of our conversations to be relevant, and I wouldn't want to pass something that's tomorrow is not going to be relevant. Do you think the next 2 weeks would give us an opportunity to look at what's happening and create a different resolution, or are we just kicking the can down to 2 weeks and it might be the same thing?
I asked Secretary Wilson for a timeline, and he also realizes this is very fresh information and developed today. He said that it could be weeks. He would think weeks. That was what he said.
We won't know anything more in 2 weeks versus right now. Probably.
We will be able to check in with our liaisons at DEQ to get a better sense of what they're considering and what moving forward looks like. At any point, we can absolutely interject the views of this body.
If I may, I think another way to look at this is what we're hearing from the news tonight is that there is not going to be any additional action taken before council will meet again. And to Councilmember Lyle's point, this gives us an opportunity, since it's all very fresh, to understand what is now happening with this new process, what are these timelines that are a little fleshed out, and then we can defer it for 2 weeks, and then we can have more information for you hopefully at that time regarding is it now appropriate to still take the same stance? Are there additional items that council might want to consider to include in the resolution based on this new information? Since this is all happening this evening, we would just suggest that there be one resolution ultimately passed by council, and we just don't quite have all the information right now about where they are in their process and how we can best make sure that council's voice on this is heard with clarity regarding the changes that they have made as of this evening.
Ms. Spears?
So what I'm hearing is, in 2 weeks, we won't be clear. So if we pass this resolution now, we don't know if there'll be some redundancy or if we need to readjust, so we should just remove it for the time being. Becky?
That is correct.
Okay, I was just making sure I was hearing you correctly. And I I think I would agree with that. But let's have a conversation.
Well, I guess what the conversation is, do we delay this action for 2 weeks and then bring it back in 2 weeks? Is that what your, kind of the recommendation is? And
That
see-
is what
and-
I would recommend.
Okay. To withdraw this particular motion for tonight and then bring it back in 2 weeks, which would be, what would be the meeting date, Madam Clerk, for that, for this to come back?
February 3rd.
February 3rd? So, okay,
Mr. Mayor,
yes, ma'am.
I move to continue this item until the February 3rd meeting.
Okay, very good.
Second?
Second by Quintana. Councilmember Quintana, we have a motion to continue this item for 2 weeks to the February 3rd meeting. Second by Councilmember Quintana. All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item passes unanimously. Thank you, everybody. This concludes the regular agenda. Are there any items to be brought forward by our city manager,
No, sir.
city attorney?
Yes, sir, we do have a closed session when you're ready for that.
Okay, city clerk?
No, sir.
Councilmember Santa Guida, any
No,
comments?
sir.
Okay, Councilmember Andrews?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to mention, we all know it's been really cold out, and I just wanted to give a shout out to the warming shelter. They were open several nights last week. They have been open January 18th, 19th, and they're open tonight on the 20th. The check-in location is at 401 Grace Street. I think they're actually have 2 separate locations, but that's where everybody checks in. They have had so many people volunteer. They need your donations. Really, monetary donations are the best way to help them. So go to thewarmingshelterilm.com and give them some of your time, talent, and treasure.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, sir. I want to thank, first I want to, well, we had a great weekend celebrating the life and dedication of Martin Luther King Jr. And I want to really congratulate staff for partnering with the Southeastern North Carolina MLK Celebration Committee. Great events, really, really, really great events. I was holding down the city table at the MLK Fun Day at the MLK Gym on Saturday. And then the parade yesterday was amazing. It was so exciting. It didn't really feel as cold as it was, but again, I wasn't walking. I was in my truck, so. But it was a really great day for a really great cause. And I said this morning on my social media page that there was so much love and there was so much energy put into the return of the MLK parade. And but now what we need is the love to carry over day after day after day after day. And it's going to take more than just Facebook statuses and, coming together and, smiling and shaking hands. There are actionable things that we need to do to move this, not only this town, this city, this state, but this country forward. So I always look for the opportunity to do something new and to do something fantastic and to support our citizens. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Clinton Quintana?
Yes, good evening, and thank you all for attending. I echo Mayor Pro Tem's comments that we should definitely continue to move things forward. For those of you who are in the sitting with us today and online, I reposted the Wilmington Housing Authority schedule for public meetings. These are resident town hall meetings. They held the first one today, and that was for Creekwood residents. The next meeting is on 2/4 for Rankin Terrace, 2/24 for Taylor residents, and 3/4 for Gervais residents. You can also find this list on the Wilmington Housing Authority's website, as well as Councilwoman Jakima Clinton Quintana and the rest of the council as well. Thank you.
Councilmember Lau?
No, sir.
Councilmember Joyner?
I see we have some scouts here. Which group are y'all with? Yeah. And who's your sponsoring organization? Which church or group? Wesleyan Chapel. Are you guys working on citizenship in the community? All right, that's required for Eagle Scout. We're glad to see you here. Keep up the good work.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. At this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to enter into a closed session pursuant to the provisions of the North Carolina General Statutes, Section 143-318.11A and 3, in order for the City Council to, number one, consult with the city attorney regarding potential legal claims and litigation, including but not limited to matters listed on the Attachment A. Copies of Attachment A are available from the clerk by request. And two, to consult with the city attorney regarding the proposed workers' compensation settlement in the matter of Harvey Schultz versus the City of Wilmington, IC file number 2401-5695. And number three, to consult with and provide instruction to the city attorney regarding a potential legal matter. And we have a motion to approve by Councilmember Chikima Quintana, second by Councilmember Salette Andrews. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item passes unanimously. The closed session will be held in the Charlie Reinbach Room behind council chambers. At the end of the closed session, the council will reopen its public session and adjourn at that time in this room. Okay, so let's move into that. So we're into closed session now.